Hello, everybody. How do I stream again? Oh my god, it's been so long. It's been so long. You always wonder what streamers and YouTubers do during their timers. What's going on, everybody? Nubius, we're going to see some great art today. Hopefully, that would be nice. That would be nice. Distant Void in the building. Finally caught up. What up, Sleeping Yellow Creature? How you doing? It has been a while. It's been a good few weeks. As you can see, it's been a good few weeks for a reason. I've been doing a full. Is it this one? I've done a full. Like, what's it called? What's this thing called when you redecorate? A redecoration. I've done a full redecoration of this place that I've been working in. So for those of you who don't know, I used to use a green screen, and I probably still will. There's the green screen, actually. I used to use a green screen, and actually I probably still will use the green screen at some point. But for now, we're just gonna go with the flow. We're just gonna go with the flow. But I'll show you what it looked like. There's a reason I was using the green screen, by the way. The reason I was using the green screen was because it looked like this. Let me show you. Some of you have already seen this because oh, what the heck? What have I done with the picture? Hold on. Give me exactly 1 second. What's going on, everybody? Chalari, Zai, Mr. Magus. What's going on, everybody? It's a pleasure to see you all. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all hanging out. So let me show you these things. Give me a second. I gotta like find the clip. It's been a while, Mr. Pudnick. It has indeed. What's going on, Evil H? How are you doing today? How's everyone doing today? How's everyone been? It's been a good few weeks. So yeah, we're going to jump back into this. I do have a video. Can I save this? Okay, cool. I'll just show you the before and after shots of the workspace that I've been working in. Now, I'm obviously super grateful to have this workspace and to work from it. But this is what it looked like. Are you ready? Can I just chuck this in there, do you reckon? No, I can't. Well, I don't know how to do that then. So this is what it looked like. Like not before, but like kind of before. Kind of before. The quality of the walls and everything. Hold on. This. I'll show you this. You ready? This is what it looked like beforehand. Look at how wrecked everything is. Wallpaper off the walls, like mold in the ceiling, just absolutely wrecked. No flooring or anything like that. Okay? That's how it looked beforehand. And obviously, as you can see, or as you could see, this is how it looks now. This is the setup now. It's like a horror movie. Yeah, someone said that actually when I showed them it. And someone said that before. But this is how it looks now. Much, much better. And it took me a while. It took me a while to do this and put the flooring in and sort everything out. So apologies for the delay, folks. Apologies for the delay, but I just wanted to clear up everything, basically clear up everything and make it a nice space to work in. Because one thing that I really want to do when it comes to like making videos and stuff is I want more shots, you know, like I want more shots, more angles, more like I'm going to get a whiteboard, I think, for the background. And we obviously have the 100, looked like the average dev room to me. Yeah, that's great. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take the average dev room. Is the stream laggy for anyone? Zai is asking if your stream's laggy for you. Let me know. Can you teach me line out work? What do you mean line out work? Congratulations on your new workspace. Thank you so much. Cheer up to hard work. Yeah, so it took a while. It took actually a lot longer than I thought to do that. So anyway, that's all done. That's all good. I'm going to get a whiteboard and stuff, and I can start filming videos like more in person now because I'm not like super embarrassed of the workspace. Or the old one. Yeah, the old one was rough. The old one was rough. But anyway, folks, Feedback Friday. How's everyone doing? Everyone ready for Feedback Friday? So I'm super hyped. I'm super stoked because the reason I did all this, like if you know, most of you've been here for a while if you're here for the Feedback Friday stuff, but you'll know that making videos takes me a while. Making videos takes me a long time, and and mostly it's because I'm trying to find things to put in the background. But if I can just have a nice background, then that's not so bad. The video is a little choppy. Is everyone having problems? Ah, okay. I see that. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can fix that for you. I might not be able to. I see the issue. Let me have a look here, folks. Why is it being so bad? I haven't streamed in a long time. I did see a question there, Kuma. Hello. Just started a pixel art and sometime I lose my courage for it. How to resolve it? Just make something low effort. Make something low effort. Let's see if this works. Is this going to work? Or have I broken everything? Uh-oh. I may have broken everything. I mean, please teach us how making a character outline perfect. I'd probably recommend just checking out the Ultimate Pixel Art tutorial on pixel lines. Like, there's pixel lines, and that's what you need to that's what you need to focus on. Ronan with the on-screen celebration. Hype, thank you so much. I'm struggling to get this to work now. Hold on. Dropping a lot of frames. Oh my god, it would be, right? It would be the first stream back. Dropping a lot of frames. Twitch. Give me a second, folks. I'll try and fix this. You may be throttled or have local network issues. Oh no, please. How are we doing now? Are we green? Are we Gucci? I might have reduced the quality of the stream by about 10 million. But if it works, it works. And that's all I'm interested in. Let me know if it's any better for you guys. Let me know if it's any better. What up, Ronan? How are you doing today? Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate you keeping that sub, even though I've not been very active on here. Anyone that's been supporting, watching the videos, chilling out in the Discord, waiting for it, hyping up, waiting. I appreciate everyone's patience. But anyway, do you know what I haven't done in a while? This. Oops. Oh my goodness, I can't. Such a noob. Paint. I haven't been on Paint in a while. Should we do dark mode? Or do you prefer light mode? I don't know. I forget how to stream. So here's how today's going to work, folks. It's just going to be first come, first serve type thing. Feedback Friday is back. Feedback Friday is back. Hype in the chat for everybody. It's a little bit echoey in this room. I need some stuff. You know what I mean? Facecam is quite big. That's okay. That's okay. I'm a big boy. I need some things so that it's not so echoey in here. Add me to the list. There is no list. Okay, I'll add you to the list. Egg boxes. Yeah, I need some egg boxes. Exactly. Okay, so let's make a list. Let's just make a list. Feedback Friday list. Let's do this. Okay, first come, first served. Put your name in. Let's go. Vindictive Toast, you're first. By the way, if you're on this list, when it's your turn, make sure you're ready and the work's on the Discord. Make sure your work is on the Discord and ready to go. If you don't know what Feedback Friday is, by the way, it does what it says on the tin, basically. We give feedback on Fridays. Zai, you're the next one that I saw. 3, who we got? Yes, please. Ronan, is that you? Okay, Ronan, got you. Anyone else? What software is this? This is Paint. MS Paint. Add me, por favor. The real Zach. What up? How you doing, everybody? The real Zach. How's the audio? It sounds so echoey. I feel like I'm going to go crazy in this room. I'd like to be on the list. Mr. Magius 01. Nice. Hype. 6. Are we only doing pixel art? No, you can post normal art. You can post traditional art. You can post game dev. You can post whatever you want. And we'll give feedback on it. I mean, there's some things that I... What up, DV? Distant Void on the list? You want to... Yeah, got you. It's good. Just here to enjoy today. I'm learning CSP as I've officially abandoned Adobe for good. Yeah, there's been a lot. There's just a little bit of an echo, no problem. I'll get some egg boxes or something to put on the walls, ruin all the hard work that I've done. Pixel Smith, I got you. Pixel Smith. So when I call your name, make sure you tag me on the Discord and we'll jump straight on it. And we'll just do we'll do 10 to start with. I'll do a list of 10, okay? Or 8 or however many we get. And then from then on, we'll do a wheel because I'm not sure how long I'm going to be going for today. I've literally just got back from a run, which is why I'm slightly late. I ran 13 miles. It was good. Feeling strong. Can I get part? Of course, Evil H. Evil H. And last but not least, for the official first come first served list, who are we going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Is it fine if the game doesn't have any graphics and just is a little gameplay? Of course, yeah. In fact, I prefer it. What a Blizzard. Of course, Lizard-like. Lizard-like, you are the 10th. Boom. Okay, folks, let's start. Vindictive Toast. Tag me. Tag me right now. Tag me. Make sure, by the way, folks, if you don't know how this works, make sure you post your work in the feedback section. We have a feedback section on the Discord, as you can see, maybe now, yes. Feedback section on the Discord. If I move my fat head, you can see it here. Just post your work in the feedback section. Tag it as Feedback Friday, and we'll get there. And obviously, when I call your name, as we've just seen here by Vindictive, you can tag me. Simple as that. Simple as that. And we can jump straight to it. So that's what we're going to do. So whoever's next, get ready. Okay, Stone and Shield recolor. I wanted to add a color. I wanted to add a could variation. What do you mean could variation? You mean a color variation? While still keeping a simple color palette, but wanted to know how it turned out. But I have two main questions about this so far. Does the recolor work? Any tips? Any problems? 2. I tried to resize the space to have more area for the enemy sprite, but not sure if it takes too much space from the gameplay area. First pick is the original sizing, second is squashed down, and 3, you said 2 questions. I guess third is optional. I have been working on another enemy sprite and like how it was turning out, picture 3. But as I finished it up, I feel like the overall shape or vibe was lost. Maybe something with lack of shadows. Any suggestions on how to fix it? Okay, so let's go one at a time. Does the recolor work? So is this the new recolor? This whole style? You posted this before. I do remember this. Let me get this up in Paint. Actually, let's do it in Clip Studio. But good luck with Clip Studio. A lot has changed, I think, right? A lot has changed since I last streamed. There's been a lot of drama. Adobe kicking off, like just so much going on. So much going on in the art world that I just haven't been keeping up with. So if you want to discuss anything or you want to talk about any stuff, just feel free to land your questions in as well. Okay, so you're asking, does the recolor work? I mean, I can't remember what the original one was. If you can post the original one in there, that would be helpful. But going off what you have here, it looks good. If I remember correctly, it's like a bullet hell type game, and you're like this character. What's up, Red? You're like this character here, and you're like avoiding the bullets and stuff like that. But I like the colors. I think it's very cool. I like the limited palette style. The one thing I will say, if I'm looking at this in terms of contrast, that's a big thing with video games, right? Is contrast. So when you are playing a game, for those of you who don't understand what I mean, when you're playing a game, contrasts. Important elements are things that usually stand out. So if you have a player here, there's the player. And if I do this, and these are NPCs, how can you tell which one the player is? You know what I mean? How can you tell? So what you'd usually do is use some form of contrast. Maybe it's color contrast. Maybe it's shape and color contrast. Some sort of difference. It just means difference, right? That's all it means. To make those things stand out. So when we're looking at game art, I have a whole video. Excuse me. I have a whole video on game art, by the way. I have a whole video on game art. So you can check that out if you're interested, because it breaks down games and game art into elements that you can think about when you're designing it if you're not sure the direction to go with. So one thing I will say is these teeth, because they are of different value to everything else on this screen, because this is the gameplay area, right? This is the gameplay area here. This is what we're interested in. That's what the player is going to be focusing on. There are a couple of distracting elements. For example, this super high contrast. This is super high contrast compared to the gameplay area. And I'm not saying that it's distracting from the gameplay because I haven't played the game, so I couldn't tell you that. But it's a nice decorative element. But I do wonder if you could like push it more into the shadows with the darker colors that you've got. Like, what do I mean by that? So, if I take this area and I take a darker color, we got a darker one even? No. What if I just did that? And then, no, let's take this. Let's make this purple for now. And then did that. Then did that. Notice how when I do that, I'm reducing the contrast of that top section, therefore making the lower section more important. Do you see what I mean? And you can go even further with this depending on your palette, obviously. Like, you don't have a lot of palette. If I do something like that, we're reducing it even more, but you're also losing some of the decorative elements. But you see how just simply pushing it back into more darkness, I know it obviously kills your lights here, so you might not want to do that. Like, you might want to have some of these still lit, but that is pushing it backwards, and you're more focused on the gameplay because the white here is more focused on the gameplay section. And in order to make that even higher contrast, you could go even further. Okay, let's make the outline border even thicker on the most important part here, which is that bit, the gameplay. I know it kind of distracts a little bit. Maybe there's a balance you could do there, but you get the idea, right? Or maybe we could change the color of it so that it has some sort of background layer that you must focus on. You get what I'm saying? Maybe we do that. Maybe we do that. There we go. Something like that. So that's not completely lost and you're still focused on that area because it's the most standing out. What was the second question? This was the original, by the way. And this original, if you notice, this original piece here is just black and white. And we don't have, when it's just black and white, notice how there's the contrast. The contrast that you have here is purely shape based, shapes and sizes, because we don't have things like, value differences. We have shapes and sizes and detail. So if you just look at the black and white, it's easier to break that down in terms of contrast. Like this decorative element around the sides, or like the spikes or whatever this is in the part of the gameplay, that stands out a lot. Why? Because it's a texture, it's a detail that we don't see anywhere else. You know, we don't see that anywhere else. But the problem is you have this character who's avoiding these really small elements, but then you have loads of huge, massive elements, like lots of big blocks of white against lots of big blocks of darkness. So they're standing out quite a lot. And if it's not a gameplay element, or it's not if it's not a gameplay element or it's not important, pushing that back into darkness might be better for focus. You know, doing something like that, pushing it back so the player can really focus on what's important in the game, or focus more. Like, it's about balance, right? Like, you don't want to completely hide it because you still want to have the vibe, but at the same time, you don't want it to be, if it's not as important, you don't want to get rid of it completely, you know, or you want to have some elements. It's about thinking about these things. And one way to do that is, as I mentioned in the video, one really effective way to do that, as I mentioned in the video, the how to make game art video, is break excuse me, break the elements of your game down into a hierarchy. I call it the hierarchy of importance for the players. Okay, so think about it. As a player, what is the most important thing for players? It's going to be, one, where the player is. Firstly, if you can't find your player in a fast-paced game like a bullet hell, good luck. So your player needs to stand out the most. Two, threats. You know, where the threat is. So you need to find out. You need to make sure that the threats are the second most important thing, because you need to know where the player is and you need to know where the threats are. And then third, you might have something like background element, or like stats, like player status maybe. Maybe that's even more important than the threat. That's up to you, and that depends on the game. And then 4 is like background, others, you know. So if I was going to design something based on this hierarchy of importance, where the top one is the most important and the bottom one is the least important, then you could do something like this, where it's like, okay, well, I have a player. Let's start with 3 colors, right? We got this color. We got the excuse me. We got the white. In fact, let's just do it with black and white, because I'll just show you how adding more adds more complexity. Adding more elements for your art, like colors, values, shapes, it adds more complexity, okay? So, right, so player. Let's say the player is here. If the player's there and they've got a smiley face, we know that's the player. But if the obstacle is a circle, if the threat is a circle, that's not so good, okay? What can we do to make that stand out? Well, how about we make the threat a triangle? Different shape. The threat is now standing out more. You see that? And then stats and player things. Okay, well, stats and stuff is pretty important, so we'll give it a separate area. We'll give it a separate area and we'll just make it really simple. There we go. And that can be player health. And we'll label it. So positioning, you know, positioning and where things are, that's important as well. Because let's say we put the health bar there on the player. That's actually pretty good. That might work really well. But if we put the health bar like there, how often are you going to be looking there? Are things going to be, is it possible for an enemy to overlap the health bar? You know, you have to think about these things. So where you put it, the size of things, that's really important. Maybe we have another one called mana, right? And mana is like, it's not as important. But if we do that, just because of the size, it's now overtaking the health one. Notice how you're looking a lot at this mana one because it's so big, and the health one is less important just because of size. So that's something to think about. You got size, shape, color, value. Probably value before color. But so much. There's so much to think about. All of the separate elements. But it can be overwhelming, but the best thing to do is literally just break it down. Break it down into each of the elements. So if I go, okay, well, this is a bigger enemy. This enemy is much more important. It's a boss. Look, it's bigger. And how else can we identify that it's a boss? Let's give it a slightly different triangle. You know what I mean? And give it a face or something. So that one's standing out a lot more. And these lower threat enemies, they're still a threat, but they're not as much of a threat as this one, as you can see, because you're talking about contrast. So when you start adding in things like Value, you're like, okay, well, background elements could use value. Like maybe we have some brick tiles on the floor or something like that. Maybe that's even too light. We do something like that. Boom, boom, boom. Make it even darker so they don't stand out because it's not important, right? What up, Dom? How you doing today? It's good to see you, Dom. Good to see you back. Thank you very much. Yeah, a whole big change as you can see in the background. A whole new office space. Well, it's the same office space. I've just redecorated it. But yeah, just break it down. Break it down into manageable chunks and break it down into different separate elements. And you can also build it up from there as well. You can also build it, you can also build it up from there as well. So things like color as well. Like let's make these red, for example. Now the enemies are standing out even more. You know what I mean? The enemies are standing out even more. And this enemy is not only red, but also flames. You know? Things are standing out even more. So you can just go up step by step until you've got what you want. What up, Dante? It's the same thing with literally everything complicated. Break it down into manageable tasks. Exactly. What up, Maton? So, applying that to your game now, just you know your game the best, and you know how players will interact with your game from seeing them play it, right? So what I would say is let people play your game. If you have it, or if this is just a concept, think about the concept in terms of that hierarchy of importance. But other than that, I think it looks nice. I think you just need to balance your values a bit more, push things into the background that maybe don't need to be. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with this. You could do this. It's a perfectly valid style. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying if players find it distracting, then you might want to think about reducing values, increasing contrast for the gameplay area. Going well, man. Haven't caught a Feedback Friday in forever. It's been a while, actually. It's been a good few weeks since a Feedback Friday because I've just been changing a lot around. But it's good to see you here. I hope everything's going well. Just a concept so far, but I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, exactly. I think it looks great so far. I think you should keep it up. And I'd like to see more for sure. So keep it up. Are the normal streams back too? I've just reduced my hours at work actually, because I was working quite a lot of hours and I just have had no time to stream. But I've reduced my hours at work, so we're gonna start with the Feedback Fridays being back and work up to the weekly streams coming back as well. Work up to the weekly streams. You know, so yeah, I'd like to bring back the normal streams back, even if it's just for an hour of like game dev progress or something like that. Yeah, I'd like to do that. You're gonna ask if you got one of the jobs. You have to no. I've still just got a part-time job. That was a long time ago though. I started the part-time job in like October time or something like that, and I've just been there ever since. So, what up, Omar? How's Faceplant going? I haven't worked on it a single bit in the past couple of weeks. But Faceplant is like my main priority now. So just to give an update to everyone about that. So Faceplant, if you don't know, is the little game that I'm working on. And it's my goal to finish it. Like that's my goal. That's my main goal now, is to finish it. I think the last stream I caught, you just got hit on your bike. Yeah, that was when I just started the new job because I was cycling to there. So that was probably about October, November time, something like that. Are you still working on Faceplant? Yes, I'm still working on Faceplant. I haven't worked on it in the past couple of weeks, and here's why. Because when I'm working on Faceplant, I want to make more videos for it, and I want to make more videos quickly and efficiently. So in order to make videos quickly and efficiently, I took a 3-week break from working on Faceplant to redo this whole office space here that you can see. Redo this whole office space here. I'm going to get a whiteboard and stuff. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to start like each new devlog kind of more in the vein of like, you know, like DevDuck and stuff like that, where DevDuck is like, this is what we're going to do this week, or this is my goal this week. And I think that way I can give better updates, or at least I can just film things here and show the whole process of it. And that way I can produce things even better. You know what I mean? So the whole reason for changing this office space around and redoing all this is to help make videos even easier. Because like I said before, like the hardest thing about making videos is finding something to put in the background of the video. But if I can just talk and then show gameplay and show the task that I'm working on and like break down the task on a whiteboard or something, then that's going to be even easier, I think. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing, I think. Also, there's still a lot going on in my life at the minute, so I don't have a lot of time. You try getting an editor help to shorten up the time. Money, unfortunately, is the problem there. I don't have a huge amount of money, and I've just reduced my hours. So money-wise, I couldn't do that. But I'm just going to reduce, like the last devlog that I made. The last devlog that I made was quite easy to make, and it did pretty well. So I'm just going to keep going in that fashion. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done like behind the scenes on Faceplant that maybe isn't even video worthy. So it's going to be a balance between like videos that aren't Faceplant related and are more art based, because there's a lot of art videos that I want to make while I work on Faceplant. But Faceplant is the main goal. Get that done. Get that ticked off onto the next thing. That's the goal. So yeah, I'm still working on Faceplant. Anyway, Vindictive Toast, I hope that was useful. Let's move on. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Zai, please, send me your work. Are hunger mechanics fun for a roguelike? I think any mechanic can be fun. It just depends on... It just depends, doesn't it? It just depends on the game. What up, mate? Add me to the list. We're not going to do a list after this 10. This is the this 10 list is first come first served. So in order to be added to this list, you have to be in the stream first. And there you go. So after this, we do a thing called the wheel, basically. And if we have any free time, I'll take your name after this and we'll add you to the wheel, and then we'll spin the wheel and you may get selected. That's how it works after this. Just tag you in the post. Yes, please. Yeah. Where are you in the process now? Remember last time you were working on the art, the same as the last devlog. So if you've seen the last devlog, it's all about the art at the minute. It's all about getting the artwork done. I think my next big task that I'm going to focus on, because I've changed this whole room around and I've like refreshed it, what I'm going to do, I think, is like refresh the Steam page for Faceplant. So doing things like making a legitimate cover art for it, like making a proper logo for it, for Faceplant, and putting up some like gameplay GIFs and stuff like that. The wheel sounds very Mad Max. Add him to the wheel. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I'm not sure yet though. It's hard working on a game. It's hard working on a game and working and life stuff and YouTube. Like I find balancing all of that really, really hard. Okay, Zai, here we go. So I'm trying to make a big turn-based RPG. Surely this can't be too hard. No. Game currently has no graphics and sounds, just a little gameplay segment. So looking feedback how the game feels to play, pardon me, and how the battles feel, and if it's clear how they actually work. Let's check it out. Let's play a game. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Oops. Oh, I got in. Nice. Okay. I won't be here when my turn comes. Feel free to replace me with someone else or just shorten the list. I'm lurking in the meantime. No worries, DV. Okay. Let's do this. So arrow keys to move, Z or space to interact with stuff. Hi, I'm a sign. I'm here to teach you the controls. Is my face in the way here? I might have to reduce it. We'll just play. We'll play how it goes. Press Z or space to interact with stuff. Press X to go back and escape to pause the game. No problem. I feel the camera's quite nice. The camera feels quite smooth. Okay, so this is a battle, I guess. Let me move my fat head out of the way so we can do this. So Pokemon style attack system. Attack or magic? I'm going to go magic. Or we can go back. Just a basic attack does 10 damage. Cast Thunder, that does 25 damage and it uses the mana. I like how it flashes to show you that. That's really useful. And it costs 30 mana. Let's do that. Use Thunder attack. Oh, I've used it twice now. Okay, so there's no animations yet, but I feel like it's you have balance. How do you get that? Yeah, no, I don't have balance. Probably just make the face cam smaller. Got you. I can't really do that because then I'd have to go into the nested thing. It's really annoying to change it. In fact, is it? Let's find out. There we go. Hopefully that doesn't break. Absolutely everything. It's still too big. No. We could make the game smaller. There we go. You see that fine? Perfect. I'll just leave it at that for now. Is that still visible for you guys? Okay. Okay. So let's use the rest of my mana. Might as well. Oh my goodness. I actually just destroyed this guy. And then I don't have any mana left, so we'll just basic attack. So you do things 3 times. Okay. And they do things 3 times. I mean, there's nothing more I can do. It doesn't show you... Oh, it does. Turn 2 of 3. Okay. I was going to say, it doesn't show you, like... That didn't make sense initially, that you'd have 3 turns. Maybe it would be good to have it, like, stack. You know what I mean? And I got some gold there. Nice. Maybe have, like, the attack stack up. And, it, like, obviously, when you do the graphics, have some sort of... Yeah, why are things happening 3 times? That is a good question. That's a good question, Dom. Like, why 3 times? Hey, sign here. You can also press C to open your inventory. Okay, so we've got an inventory system. Nice. What's this? You got a potion. Heals 25% of your max HP. Nice. You got a spin attack. I don't have a spin attack. Can I use this potion? Here's 25 of your max, but you get all your potions back after battle. I can't use it yet. I guess it's like doesn't work yet or something like that. Setting should be a dungeon. That makes sense. Oh, I've got 100% HP apparently. Okay, must be broken. Items, potion. I don't need that unless it's like unless you get your HP back and then it like this is only for battles. I guess it's for battles only. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So can I cancel? I can't cancel a turn. That's good. What is the new spin attack? It does 15 damage. I mean, we might as well just do magic. And then spin attack. There is really no reason not to do the highest HP attacks, I guess. Oh, I should have used the potion. Idiot. Idiot boy. Is there a demo for Faceplant? No. I do have testers for it at the minute. You died. No problem. I like how it just starts me back here, by the way. That's good. No, there's no demo for Faceplant yet. Damn, first stream, but something came up. There won't be a real when it comes up, so take off the list. No worries, Zach. Thank you so much for hanging out today anyway. I'll do this one, and then I'll heal. Oh, I should have healed before. Oops. Give me the health. That'll be turn 1. Can use it. I can only use it once. Spin attack. Spin attack. I think I'll win now, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's an interesting battle system, actually. I don't know why you need 3 turns, but to be honest, it is adding like a nice twist to it. Like I do feel like there's a nice twist to it there where you have to think about your order in the process of things, but it doesn't really need 3 turns for that. Although you can like, it's what I didn't like about Pokemon, or it's not that I didn't like it, but you'd have to use a turn for a potion, for example. And that would like change the dynamic. But being able to like heal and then attack, that's pretty cool actually. I don't mind that. Pretty cool. Let's play. What's in here? Mana potion. Okay, so this is like teaching. I like the way you've laid out this, because I was thinking in my head, I guess the mana potion is going to be next, right? Because I'm going to use the thunder attack again. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to run out of mana, but I'm going to use the mana potion, which will just 50% of max mana, which will give me 60, and then I'll use this 2 times, and then I can just do spin attack. So actually, you can pick it up really good, and it's like it's really intuitive, and I can see this getting quite deep. You know, I can see this getting quite deep with the different mechanics you can do. Oh my goodness, shopkeeper, what up? I'm a shopbot. Would you like to buy something? I want to talk to you. Okay, what do you have? Here's 20%. Okay, so you can get multiple things now. So I guess the first thing it wants me to buy is the potion system. First thing it wants me to buy is the potion. I'm not going to buy it, and I'm going to see what happens. What's on the right? Key required. Down here, enemy. Magic. 4. I have 4 turns now. So did that change or something like that? Did I like level up or something? I don't understand. I don't understand why my max HP is increased. I'll use my mana potion, and I'll just... The only problem is you kind of get into that rhythm where you don't need to do... Like, I find myself just following the same thing. Like, I don't need my basic attack now. Like, why would I ever need the basic attack? You leveled up? Okay, cool. This is a great base game? Yeah. It is a great base for a game. I don't ever need to deviate from the pattern that I've been doing, really. Like, magic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got 4 magics now. I'm just going to magic this guy to death. And he's going to hit me a couple times. I don't really need to heal. What's it, 15, 30? Yeah, I've got enough to just kill this guy. So you think a little bit, which is kind of cool. I guess it depends on the enemy. Like maybe, I guess you'd add complexity to that, right? Like these are just basic enemies, so it's supposed to be quite easy. A large potion. See, I don't even need to buy that. Heck yeah. But I will take the... do I need to fight this thing again? I do, okay. So I can just farm this, which is pretty cool. 50, is that enough? Yeah. OP, I'm OP. I'm OP already. I'm still trying to figure out how... I think it's just going to be about balance, right? I think that's going to be the hardest thing about this game. Because already you have like a unique concept. Not like a unique concept, but already you have an intuitive... You have an intuitive system. Like it makes sense. Like I'm not playing this and I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to get the mana one because I feel like just the mana attack does the most amount of damage. So having as much mana as possible is super important. I need the key. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. I need the key. I'm just going to farm this guy. I've got enough thunder. I'm just going to use my mana potions. Give me another one. 5? Am I throwing the mana potions at him or something? I don't understand. Is he dead? He has 0 HP. How is he still alive? Makes no sense. 0 to 0 to 0. There's room for small innovations. Yeah, I think it's a good start. I think it's a good start. How much was this... Getting lost and confused is the quickest way to make someone close a pixel game, definitely. But here's the thing. I want to know what's on the other side of that thing. I want to know. I don't want to grind to get it. But that's because I'm an idiot and I spent all my money on a mana potion that I didn't need. However, I want to know. So I'm going to keep going for at least 2 more seconds. Different enemy attacks that give you a reason to choose what kind of attacks you do. So like if you have to charge up attack and maybe you need to defend or heal preemptively or adding multiple enemies to a battle, especially as you get more turns as you level up, you can focus your attacks on different enemies. That's a good idea, Disaster Gaming. That's the dev in your heart. Yeah. How much gold have I got? Can I check inventory? 112. I need 250. Are you mad? It's going to take forever. I guess reducing the cost, like, because the mana is so important, it's going to be about the balance of that, right? Like, it's going to be about the balance of that. Like, if you can reduce the amount of times I can use the mana stuff, then it makes it less. I've only got 147 gold. Oh my god, it's going to take all day. Okay, Zai, tell me what's on the other side. If you see my question, what was your question there? Sorry. If you get an editor, how much will you be able to pay him as of right now? Nothing at the minute. Nothing at the minute. Or it would be very low. It wouldn't be what I'd want to pay them. Bravely Default is a good ref, maybe. You queued up different attacks in a row in battles, and they had the best feature in JRPGs. You could repeat the actions you took last battle, and you could speed up battles like 10 times. It's a new enemy. Oh my, I need to see the new enemy. Give me a cheat code, Zai. Could have a cooldown so you can't spam them. Yeah, cooldowns could work. I need to see the new enemy, dude. There's no point in the basic attack, though, I will say. There is no point in the basic attack. Because I'll never use that, ever. Like, do you know how Pokemon has the amount of times you can do something? Like, maybe you need something like that. But then again, you know, like, I guess you have that for mana. I guess that's what the mana system is. You know the drill. Got to have a unique selling point. Exactly. Will $20, $30 be an option? Yeah, it just depends on what I'm trying to, what they're editing, you know? Like, that for a full length one of my videos is quite a lot. It's not a lot, I mean. You have a couple of bugs with the HP on the enemy system, by the way. Oh no, is it telling me what it's going to be? That's pretty good, actually. Do you have something unique in mind in game? That's unique in mind for the game. That is a good question. How much gold have I got? 216. This is it. We're about to make everything. Oops. I'm just going to kill this log thing, and then we're good. It's only got 45 HP. I like how it's showing me that because it's yellow. That makes sense. I didn't understand that before, but I get it now. PP is Pokemon mana. Yeah, move dependent mana. Got you. Hello, Arts Bearded Glasses Game Dev Man. What's up, Crimson? How are you doing today? 246? What a scam. Just the battle system is unique for now. Yeah, you need unique. You need uniqueness. Like, let's think the one thing that comes to mind. So obviously this is like Pokemon, right? Oh my god, I've got 5 turns. It's too easy. Oh my god, the one thing I will say is, like, the more turns I've got, the more annoying it is to say this, to do the same thing. I've got max gold. Okay, no problem. Alright, let's go see this new enemy. We farmed a little bit. I think balance is gonna. Oh my god, I've got to fight this thing. Can I not run away? I don't want to fight it. What up, False Bracket? How are you doing today? I'd love to help you make your videos faster. Send me an email with examples of your work. That's max level, not gold. Ah, okay, max level, got you. Just because it's gold, it, like, to me, it seemed like gold. That's just how my silly alt brain works. Let's buy this bloody key. Yes, I want to buy the key. Move, strange robot shopkeeper. An option to escape. Yeah, if I don't need to fight. Is it wrong that I think could do with trippy battle backgrounds like Earthbound? Is this the enemy? Is this the boss? Oh my goodness, it has 400 HP, guys. We're gonna die. But I'm max level, so I'm not even sweating. Okay, now I've got to think about this. Do I go mana potion? I gotta do mana potion, right? And then we just, how many times can I hit it with that? Let's go mana potion again. Let's magic it up. Okay, bang, bang, bang. Oh, you get like 5 HP off them. Okay, I got 95 HP. Oh my god, it just lasered me. Okay, I'm going to have to heal up. Large potion. Yeah, give me the large potion. It's a 1 turn. Oh, it's 2 turns. Oh, it's 1 turn. 1 turn for the large potion. Maybe that could take more turns. Because why would I use that instead of the small one? You know what I mean? Still got some space for some thunder attacks. And then we'll go spin. Haha, stupid little robot thing. You haven't got any. Okay, 105 HP. I have no more mana potions. I need a mana potion, dude. I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to spin attack. Spin attack, spin attack, spin. It reminds me of those, you know, those kids that would just like swing their arms and stuff. I win anyway. Easy win. At that point, turns just become action points. Yeah, I think you're right, KK Hugs. I'm not thinking about this too well. Sign again, just say that's the end of the game. Thanks for playing the prototype. Okay, cool. We did it. Sick. Thank you so much for sharing, Zai. I'm going to remove you from the list. Sorry for bothering you. I want to offer you a promotion. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good, actually. Good, actually, on that. Okay. So this was the game we just played. It's interesting. It's intuitive, I think. It's intuitive, but maybe that's because I played Pokemon. So it's obviously the biggest comparison that you can give it, I think, is Pokemon. I do like it though. I do like it. I think you're also streaming on Twitch right now. I am, Nick Sleaze. Yeah, I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Unfortunately, you can't see the chat or anything like that. Like, it's a shame you can't like combine chats. But anyway, it's interesting. It's an interesting little system. It did pique my interest. It makes sense. What up, Kiprock? I don't know if I said that. I think I did. Obviously, like we mentioned, like the ability to escape would be good, but that's just something that comes later on, I think. It's an interesting idea. I mean, I don't know what separates it from Pokemon. The multiple actions. I don't get what value it gives the player, the multiple actions. Yeah. The thing I like most is that you build up this whole system without worrying about art and audio just to prove it out. Yes. I do like that a lot as well. Prototyping. Proper prototyping without artwork. A lot of people get caught up with the artwork too fast when their game might suck. You have the YouTube chat and a pop-out. Oh, do you say again, Squid? Oh, I appreciate that. That's useful. That explains why I was confused by the ghost messages. Yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know what makes it stand out from Pokemon so far. I think usually start your game with simple squares. Yeah, that's how Faceplant started as well. Just little squares and Phil, the little character, prototype Phil guy that I made. It was cute. But I think overall it could be good. It could be good, and it is good right now, but what could make it different, you know? What could be that unique selling point? I haven't played a Pokemon game. Most of the inspiration is from Undertale. Okay. Maybe check out some of the Pokemon battle systems. Because basically the only difference is there's like the AP system, which is like attack. Or is it AP? Or like how many times you can attack with certain things. But usually that's never really a problem. Unless you have like one of the OP moves like Flamethrower or something like that, wasn't it? With Charizard. I think all it needs is a theme for the items, the weapons, to make it feel unique. I think that will definitely help. PP, yeah, that's it. PP, my bad. Love the PP. I think that will definitely help. But I don't know if it will be enough. You know what I mean? Because one thing that's quite annoying with that sort of actions, one thing that I did find was like a sticking point, was having to like select the same thing over and over and over again. Because really it's a process of, it's quite a simple battle process. And I guess the same goes for Pokemon as well, although you do have to think about like types. I guess that's how Pokemon makes it complicated, because Pokemon has things like, okay, you have your attack. You have attack 1 and you have attack 2, for example, or attack 3. And this is like the strongest attack, okay? So you always want to use your strongest attack. You always want to use your strongest attack, but it only has 3 uses, for example. Your weakest attack might have like 20. I'm just making these numbers up, by the way. And it works a little something like that. So you have like, you can only use a certain amount of those, and that's the PP that people were talking about before. And also you have types. So each attack has an attack type. So this attack type is fire. This attack type is normal or whatever. You know what I mean? This attack type is water. I don't know. You wouldn't have both. Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember Pokemon. But that, you also have enemy types. So it's a fire enemy. So if you use fire on fire, it's not going to be very effective. So that attack that you had, which is the most powerful, usually isn't the most powerful against this. It's not very effective. So you'd use the water one, so the weaker one becomes even better. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how Pokemon makes it complicated, you know? There's also special versus physical attacks. Okay, yeah. Special versus physical attacks. Cool. But basically, your attack system works simpler than that, in that you have your strongest attack is always the mana one, but obviously it uses mana, so you have to like refresh your mana. But the hierarchy goes, use the strong attack, when that runs out, top it up, and then use that, unless you can kill it with, unless there's like a, like it might help to draw this out as a like a logic thing. What's this called again? Logic gates or something? I can't remember what this is actually called. But draw it like this, because you always want to use the mana one. And when that runs out, you want to top it up. That's how you're going to get the most amount. Flowchart, that's the one. Thank you, KK Hooks. You know what I mean? You always want to do that, unless you can just kill it with a normal one. Or unless you need HP. And then you just use one of your moves. You just use one of your moves for a potion, because the potions do quite a bit, right? Or the normal attack can just kill it. So really, the problem is you're just executing this loop every single time. Mana, top it up, mana, top it up, mana, top it up. Oh, my HP is low, I'll use a potion. Go back to mana, top it up, mana, top it up, mana, top it up. Oh, it's got less health. Okay, I won't top it up. I'll just go to normal attack. So you're basically just doing this loop over and 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 over again with every enemy. Doesn't matter if the enemy's got more health. Doesn't matter if you've got less health. You just use the HP. And the only thing that changes it, the only thing that changes it is if your HP or if it's near death. If it needs mana or it needs death. You need reasons to force people to use a rotation or something. Like MMOs use cooldowns to stop you spamming the best moves. Yeah. I wonder how cooldowns is interesting. Yeah. Cooldowns is interesting. Like maybe you can only use the mana. I don't know. I can't even think about it. Like I've never designed a system like this, but I imagine it's quite complicated. I wonder how indie JRPGs do generally, other than huge ones like Sea of Stars. I've never played any, to be honest. I've never played any, but it's a complicated system. But I think it needs something to change this loop. It needs something to affect this loop. Can anyone think of any ideas? Obviously, we've had the cooldown ideas to stop you spamming it. Like you can only use this once per turn or something, or once per 2 turns, per 2 goes or something like that. That would definitely stop you from starting there. But the problem is you then go into the secondary loop. You go into the secondary loop, which is, okay, I'll just do my strongest normal attack. Because if you have a normal attack which is doing 15 damage and a normal attack which does 10 damage, you will never, ever, 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 ever use this 10 attack. Like, why would you? Why would you bother? Why would you bother using the 10 attack? You know what I mean? So maybe that's how I guess the PP thing fixes it with Pokemon, because you've run out of things with this, or some sort of cooldown system, or you can only use this so many times per turn or whatever. Maybe what could make this maybe what could make this more interesting is one thing with Pokemon, right? When I first played Pokemon, okay, for probably the first, PP is pretty boring. It is pretty boring. Here's one thing with Pokemon that when I first played Pokemon, probably the first 10, 15, 20 run-throughs of Pokemon that I played, I never, ever, 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 ever used potions, effect items, anything. And I was able to complete the game without using any of those things. All I would do is just grind and level my character up, just attacking. And you can beat the game that way. I've done it multiple times. So maybe if you placed an importance on things like items, because what I kind of like is the shop system, right? Where it's like, oh, maybe if you placed an importance on items and maybe your attacks aren't actually that strong and you need to combine items with your attacks in order to make your attacks stronger. That could be really cool, where it's like, oh, if I do this and this, blah, 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 it'll do that. Me neither. Just spam starter Pokemon, best move until win. I'm the champion, baby. Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. Like, that could be an interesting game where you have to, because what I see that happening now is you go, and maybe certain enemies are like more vulnerable to certain things. So you still have types, or you still have some sort of thing, some sort of status effect which changes it. So that way you're thinking, oh, I'm in the gravel area or whatever. These gravel things, they don't really like, I don't know, water or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll buy these water bottles from the vendor. But in order to buy the water bottles from the vendor, I need to go and fight a couple of enemies in this area. I'll fight a couple of enemies in this area so that I can save up enough gold so that I can buy water bottles. And then when I go to the gravel area, I use the water bottles on my sword and make a wet sword. And the gravel people don't like that. You know what I mean? Like things like that, like items, like actually useful items, and it means you have to use the items to do that. But I don't know, items and consumables in Pokemon become more important in competitive, but I agree that in single player mode is kind of pointless. Yeah, in single player mode I imagine there is a use for it, especially at the higher levels. Definitely. I don't know if I like adding types, to be honest. I feel like it would make it too complicated. I think the problem that you have right now is how do you make it not just following the same route over and over again? You kind of feel like a computer program just running the same script. You know, you just run the same script over and over, over and over, over and over, over and over, over and over. You know. Octopath Traveler has weaknesses attached to every enemy, so you have to figure them out to use those weaknesses to break each opinion. Interesting. Bottles. What's a water bottle? Oh, water bottle. I was like, what the heck is that? Say again, it's good. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure how you fix it. I'm not sure. I think maybe what you could try, Zai, is try a bunch of different things. Because you've got a really good prototype. And I think don't juicify it too much, you know. Be open. You're at the point here where you have this base system. You have this base system that you've got, and to be honest, there's probably a lot of different paths that you can try going down. This is the fun thing and also kind of the annoying thing with game dev. Like, there are a million different routes you can go down at this point, you know, and one of them might be more fun, one of them might not be more fun. You have to find what is fun, you know, you have to find that. You have to find what you find fun, and maybe you like that simple combat system. Just keep keep going, and it's not a bad start. It definitely isn't a bad start. So you've got a good strong base there. It's just about thinking about that and how to make it even better, even more fun, you know. Because for me, I think if I was doing that over and over and over again, I think the most fun part about that was just fighting other enemies, you know, fighting strong enemies. Like the battle system itself was simple enough to understand. Enemy poisons you. Now you've got to maybe use antidote instead of attacking. Status effects like poison, confusion, attack down, paralysis. Yeah, that's interesting. There are so many things to do. Isn't that right? There are so many different routes you can go down. Different enemy stats, some are strong against magics. Yeah. That's one way to add another layer of complexity. It just depends on how you see it and how you want to go. But yeah, there's a million different routes you could go down. But it's an interesting game, Zai. Keep it up. I'm interested to see where you go with it. Any tips with my projects where you're in a cafe and you serve people cafe, but I don't like it anymore? Any tips how to make my project again? I work on it for weeks now. What is it that you don't like? What is it that you don't like about it? You serve people coffee? That sounds fun. What's the challenge? Is it like getting their orders right? Is it like for 1 week now? Fair. I think you're still really early in the process then, and I think it's all about the prototyping, you know, like what makes it fun for you, you know, what makes that game fun for you. Right, Ronan. I think Zach wanted to be removed and so did DV. No problemo. So we're down. We're down a few people. That's okay. Thanks for all the ideas, Soul and Chat. I definitely need to think a lot about what the game is going to be. Just try things. Just try something. You might like it, you might not. I think that's the best thing to do. Like getting out of your own head, I think is really important when it comes to developing a game, you know. If we need more, I'll go on the wheel. No problem, Dom. I'll add you to the reserve list. Who else wanted one? Matem wanted to be on the reserve list, I believe. If anyone else wants to be on the reserve list, just let me know. I'll pop you on here. The wheel list. The wheel list. And that's if we get to that. We've already done an hour already. Oh my goodness. Time is flying. Okay, Ronan, tag me up. Ronan, here we go. We've got an art piece right now. Did the colors... Got nothing to show. No worries, Dante. Okay. This is a beautiful piece by Ronan right here. It says, did the colors in the sky work, or is the change of color too harsh? The sky is showing a sunset. Are the hills too dark, or are they too bright? Can you notice the black holes in the sky, or do the clouds block them? Those are my main questions. Feel free to critique the rest of the piece as well. Okay, cool. I like the project because I have a little problem with anxiety. What's anxiety? I feel like that's like a Ligma thing that I've just fallen for. But anyway. First impressions of the piece, I like it. It's got really, what I like a lot about this is the unique cloud shapes. Like I've never seen clouds like that before. That looks really sick. It kind of reminds me of the water in Wind Waker, but for clouds. Like you've got your own unique style for clouds going on there. Your specific questions were, are the hills too dark or are they too bright? Can you notice the black holes? You can definitely... Oh, anxiety. Okay. I like the project because I have a little problem with anxiety and other stuff. Well, just keep going with it, you know? Just try and find the fun, mate. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going with it. I think that's the best thing you can do with games. Just keep going, polish it, iterate on the ideas that you've got. Yes, you can see the black holes. I do think the clouds are covering them, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It depends on what your goal is with the piece. I will say, just in terms of like... in terms of the hills being too dark, too bright, it depends. It's a sunset type piece, right? I think it looks quite cool. I think the best thing you can do with anything like that is get reference, obviously. You're causing my wife to mock me saying water bottle. Water bottle. Cool Japanese style clouds. Yeah, they are sick. I have a problem because I don't know how to make the game loop. you need a state, an end state, a lose state. You need some sort of like goal. Like the simplest thing I can think of is Flappy Bird, right? Flappy Bird, this is how it works. Bird things. Go through this, plus 1 point. Hit this, death, death. There's the loop. Try and get as many points as possible. You need some way for the player to make progress, and you need some way for the player to lose progress. Unless it's just a chill game, in which case it's only progress. You know, if you remove the way to lose, that's just progress, and that's just a chill game. You're sorry, Squid? You don't have to be sorry. It's a chill game. If it's a chill game, then you don't need to lose progress, do you? You just need to constantly make the player progress over and over and over and over. Or you need to add some sort of challenge, right? Maybe some sort of challenge, some sort of chill challenge could be good if you're aiming for a chill game. Like, let's say a customer comes in, they want their coffee. Here's your coffee, blah, 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 blah. I want it to be blah, 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 blah. You go like this. And then the way you'd progress that is you'd have like a staff member. It's kind of like a cookie clicker type thing is what it comes across to me like. Where, oh, you hire a staff member and now your business is making more money. So maybe what you need is some form of progress for your coffee game. Maybe you start off just selling coffee as a lonely individual, and then you have, by the end of the game, after spending 100 hours in the game, you have 3 people working in your coffee shop, 300 people working in your coffee shop, and you have all sorts of different types of beans that you've acquired. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you would progress it. You don't need to have talking too much. It can literally just be making coffee. I'd have to see what your base game is first, like what your base idea of the game is, in order to give you any more feedback for that. But anyway, Ronan's piece. Yeah, this looks really cool. I really like the style. I really like the sunset. I think it looks quite nice. Is it too harsh, you said, the gradient? I think this color is quite neutral. Maybe you can help push it towards one of the other colors, and that will help the gradient a bit better. Like, let's try it. Whoa, pink looks sick there. But just mess about with it, you know what I mean? Like, all I'm doing now is messing about with the gradient. Trying to get it in between the 2 colors. Is the subject of the piece those 3 things on the left? That's a good question. Like, what is the focus? I'm imagining it is these. And because these are here, what I feel compositionally is I was going to talk about the composition of the piece, and how this area here, like, I want to look here. And the reason I want to look here is because of a couple of different reasons. Firstly, although you can't see it too much, this isn't the main reason. There is the sunset which is there, but also these lines converge to this point. If you think about these as lines, these are like overlapping here. Okay, that's point number 1, the overlapping lines, or the leading lines towards this cross-sectional area. But secondly, if we look at the shapes, if we ignore the content and we just look at the shapes. Oops. This area here that I've highlighted in green, yeah? This area here that I've highlighted in green, there are no clouds there. So there are only a couple of areas. If you look at the sky, okay? If you look at the sky, if you separate these sections into 3 different elements, you've got the sky area and you've got the grass area. Well, the grass area is mostly the same. You have a slight difference in value between them, or slight difference. Yeah, you have a slight difference in value between them, where one is slightly lighter. So they don't really stand out too much, but you have clouds everywhere apart from here, which makes this area stand out a lot. So this area here, the blankness of this area, in combination with the leading lines, or these converging lines to one singular point, makes this area stand out the most. This area for me is the highest contrast. That's what I look at the most. And then I kind of like look around the piece and I see these and stuff, you know? So another thing with composition is when you put elements, on the edges of pieces like this, you see how it's like super close to the edge and there isn't much like padding, I guess. There isn't much padding. It can feel quite, not, what's the word? It's not like off, you know? Can't see the comments left by the coffee game person for some reason, but another thing they could do is let the player unlock new progression, some sort of progression race. You have only 2 days for the game, Mayhem. I'm not sure. I would have to see the game, unfortunately. Yeah, they're on YouTube, Disaster Game, and I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch right now, so you might not be able to see all of the chats. You can pop open the YouTube chat and you'll see everyone on there as well. So what would I do? I don't think this, by the way, I'm not saying that this is wrong. You can have a composition like this and leave it like this, and this can be your whole painting. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have that. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. It just gives a certain feeling, right? Gives a certain feeling, and people will be drawn to certain areas for certain reasons. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Like, I'm drawn to this area because of what I mentioned before, and then I'm drawn to this area because of those. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if I was going to make a piece and my main focus was going to be on the black holes in the sky, then here's some things. You do both now? Yeah, fancy. Here's, yeah, we are fancy here. The reason I do both, by the way, is because I can leave the streams up on YouTube. And Twitch is good because I can make shorts really easily out of the content from Twitch as well. So I try to do both. And some people prefer the YouTube, some people prefer the Twitch and stuff like that. So what I might do is if I was going to create a composition for this, right? And the subject matter of my piece was going to be the black holes. You could use the elements that you've got in the piece already in a different way compositionally in order to bring the focus towards those, okay? Towards the black holes. So let's just, I'm using a mouse for this. So let's put, there's lots of different ways you could do this. I'm going to first put them in the middle. Okay. And then I'm going to have the hills converging in the middle as well, like that, to sort of frame the piece. And I'm just going to do this very simply, by the way. Looks like a butt. It's perfectly fine. But notice how I'm simplifying it. I'm not looking at detail or anything just yet. Notice how if you change that one, it makes it so different. Like the fact that that's tilted on a different axis. I'm going to make it tilt all the same way. Just so they stand out the same. And then I'm going to do your little, your gradient effect. Okay. And then I'm going to do the clouds. I'm actually going to reduce this gradient effect a little bit because I think it's too distracting in my composition. It's mainly these colors. Maybe something like that so it still stands out. Now I'm going to take these clouds and then you can use the clouds as a compositional tool. You know what I'm saying? Also, I might have clouds over the things. So they're like pointing towards the middle. That's one way to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's just one way. And that actually looks, I think, too static. That looks too static. So what else can you do? And I always try to do this with values as well. Values is a good way to do it. Let's put the black holes in the, if you know about rule of thirds, where you break it up into thirds. Maybe we do it like that, where they're kind of overlapping almost, you know what I mean? Like that. And then they each have their like, and then let's make it a bit bigger. We can kind of see them in the top section. And then I'm going to use hills here to sort of frame this. And then I'm going to use the white clouds to frame this area. So it's all leading towards the 3 black holes, which are kind of converging on each other, which doesn't make too much sense, but you get the idea. I might do something like that. But you can see how you can quickly come up with compositions. It might not be the right one. It might not be very good. Like, I don't think this one was actually very good. I was focusing too much on the color. But you can see how messing with quick compositions, I think composition is all about like iteration and like trying to find the way that works the best. You know, like me adding in this sunset-y bit down here, that isn't adding too much. Maybe you can have like rays or something. I don't know. I don't know how you could fix that. But notice how me putting that sunset in there is wrecking that composition. It's destroying the composition that I've just built. So maybe take this. Maybe we just make it even simpler. Like, give me a soft brush. You know what I mean? Maybe do something like that. Take this area, make it a little bit darker towards the front. Maybe you have like some sort of foreground element or something. And what's even interesting about this is one thing that can really help balance this piece is another element, probably still less important than this, but imagine a little character guy now. To give a sense of scale. A little character guy like looking up at this, or like an adventurer or something like this. You know what I mean? With a little backpack on or whatever. Now you've got like a sense of scale with these giant black hole planet type things that you've got. And you also have compositionally, the lines are all directing towards the focus points. Lines go down here, bing. Lines go down here, bing. You could also start to do that even more. Like maybe this is a path. And this could be a path on there as well. And notice how you can start to build it up. You know, you're not starting, I'm not going too mental with it. I'm just like building it up and seeing if it destroys the composition or not. Like that kind of destroys the composition. I don't really like that anymore. You know what I mean? I don't like that line, how it breaks it. So I'm going to get rid of that. But I do like this one. I do think that one's quite good. The little character looking up definitely gives it depth, but not in the traditional way. Yeah. There's lots you can do. What's going on, Drillmont? How you doing? UFO. Yeah, you can also put in UFOs. Super important. Like maybe this guy has a UFO. Perfect. But you see how you can start to play with compositions, and you can start to tell stories and things because you're adding other elements. And the most important thing I think is just keeping it really, really simple. Like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong. If you break down your composition, you have something like this where you have the darker elements at the front here. Like without thinking about color or anything, because color, like I said, I talked about this before when I was talking about the game art stuff, but color doesn't do anything but add another layer of complexity. Maybe he came from the black holes and crashed into Earth. Another strong theory. Another strong theory. Like as a composition, look at how nice this is actually right here. Without the clouds. This to me right here feels balanced. It feels nice. It feels cool. And then you add in these, let's just make this mid-tone. This feels actually quite nice for me. But the thing you have here is you have these elements with the clouds. I'll add this white background in. I'm doing this with a mouse, apologize. You add these clouds in, right? And suddenly, because the clouds are laid out in such a way where you've got big elements here, big line here, which is kind of overlapping, big line here, and then nothing. This was actually a bit further down there. Like that. It starts to feel a little bit unbalanced, you know? Starts to feel a little bit unbalanced because on top of that, you also have the gradient. You also have the gradient. Let's take a look at it, everything in terms of grayscale or value. You see what I mean? If you look at everything in value, the actual black holes don't stand out that much because you've got really light clouds and you've got light clouds against dark areas. Whereas when I'm trying to balance it, notice how the values that I'm using, the underlying values, is trying to push those things into the focus with the highest amount of contrast in the values first and then the colors. It's again what we were talking about before, like break down an art piece into each of the elements. Shapes, sizes, values, color. And you can go like that. You can start like that. Literally start with shape. Okay, are your shapes balanced? Yes. Next step. Sizes. They're kind of the same. Shapes and sizes are kind of in the same, in my opinion. And then you've got value. Also, you have line in this as well, but line depends. Line is kind of part of shape, not really. Value, and then you have color on top of that as well. And also you have on top of that texture. And these things use the rest of them, by the way. So texture uses color, can use value, can use size and shape. So that's why it can be quite overwhelming if you start with something like texture, right? Like notice the texture in these clouds is very different to the texture of the grass. So you have multiple elements, which is kind of why it's hard to balance, which is why it can be helpful to start off, like I showed you the process, with shape first, then size. Like start with the simplest elements and then add on there. It's like if you're going to paint a character, if you're going to paint a portrait of someone, right? Which is why it can be helpful to do something like this first, right? I'm just going to do this. Boom. That's a silhouette. It stands out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in more shape. Boom. There's nothing wrong with that. But notice how I start to add more. It starts to complicate the piece. You know? We're starting to get complicated. And then the focus, you're losing the focus a little bit. So you have to balance it. You have to balance it out. Okay? What can we do here? Boom. Bit of focus there. Boom. Value now. We're thinking in values. You know what I'm saying? The head is the focus. That's too much. We don't want that anymore. Maybe we do eyes. That's too much. We don't want that anymore. Let's use black. Starting to add black now. Let's do a smile. That's pretty good. That's too much. We've lost the balance. You see how easy it is to lose the balance in a piece? So maybe we use a lighter. We'll use the light, but we won't go too light. We'll just go a little light. We don't want to take away from this, which is the focus of the piece. Obviously, bold is the focus. That's too much. You know what I mean? It's all about balancing it. But then on top of that, you could do something like this. You know what I mean? We now have color in the piece. Now we're real complicated because that's super saturated against the gray. So obviously that color is going to stand out. So what should we do? Let's reduce that. Let's reduce the saturation. And let's add color to the guy's head. Give me a second here. I forget how to draw. I forget how to use all of these things. Boom. The head stands out. You know what I'm saying? So with balance, you mean making sure colors don't stand out and take away focus. With balance, I mean this. I mean making sure each of the elements of your piece, yeah? Each of the elements of your piece, starting from shape, size, value, color, texture, are working for the intention of your piece. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. If this is what feels right to you and you produce it, there you go. You're done. You can stop. You don't have to follow this. But I'm just saying, if you want to be more intentional with your art, then you can break down each art piece into shape, sizes is part of shape. I'll put line as part of that as well. Fundamental elements. Value, then color, because colors have value as well, and colors are also in the shapes. So if you have lots of color, then you have to think about the shapes and stuff as well, and you have texture. And I'm gonna leave lighting as part of like the color and texture as well. Like lighting is kind of all of this. You know what I mean? Lighting is all of this. So let's think about this. And here's a little exercise for that. For example, if I do this, I create a shape here. I've created a canvas here. This is my canvas. If I do this, right? That is an art piece right there. Okay? That's an art piece. And even just the way that these are laid out is interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like I just laid these things out like that because that's what felt right to me. But if I put them closer together like this, notice how it changes the composition of the piece. They now feel a bit more equal, don't they? They feel a bit more equal. But I wonder if I go like this, if I move them and I move them there, they're still equal, in a different way. They're equal in a different way, but notice how they give you different feelings. And that's what it's about. They give you a different feeling. They give you a different vibe. Now, what if I do something like this? Okay. What if I do this? We're just messing with shape and size. By the way, right now we're just messing with shape and size. Now you get an even different. Now you get a completely different feeling from both of these two things. One of them has become much bigger than the other one. You know what I'm saying? And you get a completely different feeling, which is why you should pay attention to each of the elements of your art: the shapes, the sizes, the line, the value, the color. It's not just about one thing. It's about all of these elements working in a way that is pushing a certain feeling for your piece, a certain idea, a certain story, a certain whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if I change this now and I do this, oops, if I do this to the piece, and I move the triangle there, all of a sudden it's changed even further, especially if I start adding in more circles. Which one stands out now? Even though you have different sizes, yeah, even though you have different sizes, the triangle is still the most unique. And that's when you can start doing things like value. You know what I mean? Color. Everything just gets absolutely mental. Oh, by the way, you want to add some lines in there too? Interesting. It changes everything up, doesn't it? Okay, cool. What about you? Let's make you spotty. Let's add some texture to you. Notice now how there are things that are competing for attention massively. Like things are competing for attention everywhere. Like this is competing for your attention. The red is competing for your attention. We've got lines. And all of a sudden, you don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? That's why when you have an art piece, which is a lot going on, it can be difficult to balance it, which is why you've got to kind of either stop yourself or push it in certain ways. But exploring it is how you get through there. What's going on, Drillmon? How you doing? Glad I caught your stream. Just want to say thank you so much for your donut tutorial. Helping massive on my pixel art. Helped me massively on the pixel art journey. Hey, no worries at all, Conrad. Thanks for hanging out. The triangle is the most unique while me looking at the tiny circle. Yeah, it's the smallest one, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's one of the most important things. Why? Because it's one of the smallest ones. And there's so many different ways you can do it. And also, it's a UFO, so that's why it's the most important one. You're looking at the biggest circle, everything. Everyone has a different way of looking at it. Everyone has a different, it's subjective as well, you know? It's not just an objective thing, which is why when you go into a modern art gallery, you see people standing around artwork and going, you know, this looks like cheese. And then someone's like, yeah, but look at the UFO, sick. You know what I mean? Or this line gives me anxiety. Like that's how people view these things. That's why it's interesting. You're having way too much fun with this. It is fun. Art is fun. When you see, like, I never used to understand, like, how that worked. I never used to understand, like, how that worked with modern art and stuff, but I understand it now because it's an interpretation of something. It's a feeling that something gives you. Like, I'm going to show you something, yeah? You're going to look at this and you're going to go, what? You know what I mean? Probably. Like, you're going to look at this and go, oh, I could do that. You know what I mean? You're going to go, I could do that. But the interesting thing about this, right? Not also the fact that it's, hold on. It's abstract painting that I'm looking for, by the way. Like an abstract modern painting. Pardon me. Like you look at something like this and you go, a 5-year-old did this. You know? You could look at this and go, a 5-year-old did this. But if you break it down, and if you look at it, and you go, well, oh, by the way, how does it make you feel? Like, what are you thinking about when you see this? What are the interesting elements when you look at this? And if you try and break it down in terms of like art fundamentals, if you try and look at it like that, it's actually really interesting. You got complementary colors in the green and the red. And they're on opposing sides. You know what I'm saying? You think of pizza, that's a great interpretation. It does remind you of pizza. Stress is what you feel. You have a clash. You know what I mean? You've got a clash of complementary colors. Of course, that's going to feel stressful. What I see is that Maui head thing here. But I also see a character here too. I'm finding myself looking at the orange scattered about. Yeah. A difference in texture. You know, little dots of texture flying around the place. And on your initial thought of looking at this, it's like, well, yeah, it's just a mess. And, you know, that could have been the very intention of making this, is you're not thinking while you're making it, but you're creating something which has some sort of effect. It has an emotional response. Now, your emotional response initially could be like, well, this looks like a 5-year-old did it, which is completely fine. But if you just stop and look at it, it changes. You know what I mean? It changes how you feel about it. And if you break it down in terms of art, and if you understand art, and if you understand fundamentals, you look at it even further and you go, well, that's really interesting, actually, how they've done that. Or it looks like, or what effect it makes you feel. There isn't really anything else like that. I guess music kind of has that, right? Music has notes that are put together in a way that makes you feel a certain other type of way, which is kind of mad. Like, let's look at another one, for example. Look at how they've used... By the way, sorry, I don't have the artist names for this. This uses lines and shapes. This is I've literally just made this in Paint. I've just showed you. You know what I mean? What up, Fox? What up, Odwal? How you doing? And you'll look at this a certain way. It'll make you feel a certain way. And that's why when you see people have these things in their houses, you're like, why would you have that in your house? But it makes them feel a certain way. You might not be open-minded enough to see that for yourself, or you might not have, you might not feel a certain way when you look at it, or you might just go, oh, a 5-year-old does it, or maybe you appreciate more technical works. Like, there's nothing wrong with art, like technical mastery of artwork either. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I find interesting is the combination of both, like combination of like abstract work plus, like what's it called, like abstract realism. Is that even a thing? It is a thing. Like, look at this thing. Look at this painting. You have the realism from the face, but you have the abstract nature around it, and that's interesting. Like, I've not seen that. It's a combination. And that's why art is, there are no like labels for these things. Like, obviously labels, but there are no boundaries, It's a spectrum of things that you can put together or not put together. In fact, a lot of you will probably be quite familiar with pixel art, right? Because you're from the YouTube channel. And pixel art can be very specific and very strict about things, especially the classic community. However, there are a lot of different ways to do pixel art, and I'll show you this one, which I show every single stream. Every single stream, I show this piece. Every single Feedback Friday stream. And the reason I do it is because it takes your understanding of a medium and it turns it. It shows you something new that you've never considered before. And I think that's really important for beginners to see. It's not just about Pokemon sprites or, getting rid of jaggies and doubles. It's about exploration and feeling. There are two sides to art. There are two sides to art. There is the technical side, and there's the expression side. And when you look at something like we looked at before, which was just shapes and blobs and things like that, that's fully expressive. But it's also technical in the way that they applied it. And there are things like color theory going on there, and there are things like shape and line going on there. But then you have like something like a Mona Lisa, for example, which is technically amazing, but it also has expression in it as well. And it's about a balance. Exactly what Dom says. It's finding your way to express the feelings that you want, learning and discovering your own language. So check out this nice pixel art piece, right? Yeah, it's cool. Zoom in. Every pixel is painted. It's a painting. And each pixel has a slightly different shade, a slightly different hue, slightly different texture. This is pure pixel art, by the way. Pure pixel. And you can get even crazier about this, right? Okay, each pixel has what about a piece which is larger and is broken down into square-like pixels, but it's also traditional? Pushing the limits of pixel art. Combining different things. You know what I mean? Combining pixel art, combining, what's that called? Like limited color palettes with other illustrative pieces, but it also has an element of like texture on top of that. Like 3D nature of the paint adds a completely different element to the piece. So yeah, interesting. Pure pixel. That's why I love art, because it's just so interesting. Like, it's not just about a single linear thing. There's nothing wrong with a single linear thing either. If you want to be technical, like a technical master, that's fine. And that's how you might express yourself too. But you can slap paint on a piece, and that's completely fine. Gustav Doré is my hero when it comes to greatness. He's the master of focus and delivering meaning, all without color. I had his works as my wallpapers. Interesting. I'm just looking at the pieces now. And they are very like demonic looking. Very like demonic looking, very illustrative. They remind me a lot of like old, not old fashioned, but like masters of art, like Renaissance type paintings. You know what I mean? But this time with like a demonic twist. Like I know there is demonic in like Renaissance paintings too as well, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean. But the difference in texture, that's really interesting. The composition. Like we were just talking about value composition before. Like look how this character is dark against a white background, but they're using line and shape and texture to help frame the rest of it while also telling a story. Interesting. It is interesting. Cool stuff. He did these for print, which was carved in wood. Oh, really? That's cool. That's why everything's in lines. That's really cool. I didn't know that. It does look very cool in that sense, like the hand carved stuff. But anyway, let's move on. We're kind of running out of time here. Okay, Ronan, thank you very much for sharing. We might not get through everyone on this list today. I apologize if so. We definitely won't get to the wheel because we're almost 2 hours in. But let's go. Mr. Magius. Let's go. Which one is it? Mr. Magius, if you're still here, pop it in. Pop it in, pop it in, pop it in. Tag me, tag me, tag me. Tag me in the post on feedback, please. Let's go. You added me. Okay, which one is it? Which one is it, my friend? I've got a couple tags. People tagging me. Let me have a look. Is it this one or is it... We've done Zai's one, so I'm going to not delete the post, but I'm going to unfollow the post. Can I do that? Yes. Battle sprite for RPG character. Thank you very much. Cool. So I think the sword looks kind of janky, and I'd like to know how to improve it, especially because I intend on animating an idle animation. Also, here's a version with a black outline, which looks better. Which looks better is subjective, but oops, it pastes with a dark background. Apologies. I think it looks better on a lighter background, but I can't really do that. It needs a white outline. It needs a white background just so I can... 1 second. Okay, so we've got one here. The dog's gone mental downstairs. A lot of people forget that sometimes. An art piece looking good is a subjective thing. Yeah, it is. It's very subjective. Art is very subjective. What looks good to you doesn't look good to everyone. Although there will be like general things that people say are good or not, just because even if your work, everybody says that it's bad, there might be someone out there who says that it's good. You know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't cater your stuff so everyone will like it, because you can end up that nobody likes it. There are ways to subjectively make it communicate better. True. Yes. You can you mean objectively make it communicate better? That is true, yes. Like something that you're trying to get across. Like if I make something like this, I guess the simplest example, if I go, I made this character. He's a bad guy. How can I communicate that better? You know what I mean? Then there you go. Bad guy. Objectively looks more like a bad guy. But saying that could still be a bad guy. But communication, right? Right. So your question was, you think the sword looks kind of janky, and I'd like to know how to improve it, especially because I intend on animating an idle animation. Well, firstly, I like the pose. I think it's a really strong pose. You got the shield in front and the sword in the back. I think that's really cool. I think the way you've set that up. I prefer the black outline just because to me it's more clear. And I can imagine when you're like swinging it through the air, that would be more clear as well. However, and also the rest of the piece has an outline, and everything else having an outline, and that not like that having like a colored outline. Yes, it could make it stand out in terms of like, stand out in terms of like contrast. But I think consistency can help things feel like they fit more together. I think the hand holding the sword is backwards. We should see the fingers. Yes, in the sense that like the thumb would... Oh my God, why is this so big? That's what he said. Like that, right? Obviously this is pixel, but you get the point. That's like holding the sword. Maybe the legs are a bit too straight, potentially. I think if the metal isn't going to have a black outline, all the metal should have a metal colored outline to make it more sense. That's a good input. Looks like you used the same dark blue for the whole cape when you have 3 different values that make up the cape. Looks like you used the same dark blue for the whole cape when you have 3 different values that make up the cape. Guess it depends on complexity as well. Like, the more complicated something is, the harder it is to animate it. You know what I mean? And keep track of that. Versus simple. Like, personally, I would simplify this, the chest plate. If I was going to animate something, I would simplify the chest plate. Just depends on how much detail I want. Like, you've got loads of detail in this bit. Like, do you actually need the detail there? Do you need that other shade of blue there? Perhaps not. You know, do you need the detail in the legs? It depends on how you're going to animate it and the style that you're going for. Because there's nothing wrong with all of that, like I said. Which is where we're getting to the subjective side of things. Because there's things that I would do that you might not do, or the things that you would change that you might not change. So a lot of it is going to be your opinion as well, really. One thing that looks slightly off is the size of the legs, and also you have like a tangent going on here. Like you have this line from the cape to the bottom of the foot there, which is a tangent. Like the fact that this is one shape and then this line is going through that shape, that's good. That's non-tangential. You know what I'm saying? Saving the small details for the animation itself could add a lot to it as well. Yeah, it could. It just depends on how much work you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, the more complex it is, the more work it is, generally. Generally speaking. What would I do here? What was your original question? An idle animation? That could be interesting. Yeah, I personally prefer the black outline on the sword, but that's just a personal thing. You know what I mean? That's a subjective response to that. You're saying the sword looks janky. What I will say with swords and anything in pixel art, diagonals is janky. Like making things diagonal is really hard unless you follow like a really strong pattern with the diagonal. You know what I mean? So what you could do is you could straighten the sword up. You could try that. because you'll be able to get, I'm obviously not doing this in pixel, but you get the point. You can straighten the sword up and that'll make it easier to draw the sword initially. Mostly I think this looks pretty good, but the pose seems really uncomfortable. Like they're trying to make everything face towards the camera. You mean because the body is like straight on and less of a 3/4 body that you might expect? You know, like overlapping elements with like a leg here and like what have you. One leg overlapping the other. I think that's like it's a common thing with like pixel art, isn't it? I want to see some pixel art characters holding swords and stuff. The first thing that comes to my mind is like Castlevania type pixel sprites. It's very hard to pull that off though, isn't it? Castlevania just has some nice looking sprites. What's the name? Like a sword character, pixel art. What kind of sword characters do we have? Yeah, there's a lot of that in pixel art. I mean, if I just share the screen right now, like look at all these characters. A lot of them are doing the same thing where they're all like facing towards the camera with both their legs outstretched, and they're almost doing like sidewalk type thing. That's a very common thing. The reference here isn't too good in that sense. But I guess if clarity is your goal, and a lot of these don't look like they're from video games, they just look like sprites that people have designed themselves. Like I would like a reference. I would like a game reference. Interesting. Yeah, I would maybe play with the pose. I would probably play with the pose. The biggest thing with everything is reference. I mention this every single stream, but the reference is the most important thing. Check out references for like holding swords. Also, take your own reference as well. Like try holding a sword, try holding a shield, take pictures of yourself doing that, and you can feel the motions. I don't think it's the same. In almost every one of these, the body is tilted and the right arm is down next to the body. You mean the sword carrying arm? It kind of looks like in this pose that they're like, they've got the shield up and they're also like, you know what I mean? Like about to go, but it does look a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe there's like an anticipation type frame where they're kind of leaning back a little bit on the left. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what this is. This one is like they're about to swing. In that sense, I don't think it's really the idle, or it doesn't look like a static pose. You know what I mean? I'd imagine the static pose would be more ready to fight, you know, like sword down here or whatever, shield up here, and then they go back for the swing. It's something to think about anyway. I think we'll move on from this piece. I think reference, checking out different poses and trying to make it feel a bit more balanced with that will help you. And we've had some good suggestions from the community. But I hope that was helpful in some way. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more. Because it's a difficult one. Right, Pixelsmith. Please tag me. The way their upper body is tilted does not match their legs. Yeah, references. REFERENCE. Pixelsmith, tag me. If you already tagged me, I apologize. Which one is it? If you're still here, if you're not here, we will move on to the next. You have 10 seconds. But thanks for sharing your work, Mr. Majors. I appreciate it. I think we'll do like 1 or 2 more. We've been streaming for 2 hours now, so this will be the last one actually. This will be the last one. I need to get some food and then I need to go to bed. Pixelsmith I don't think is here anymore. Okay, let's move on. Say again, Squid. Are you in the building? Say again, Squid. Are you in the building? What up? Say again, Squid. Tag me. Just posted. Cool. First digital art. I got myself a pen display and did my first pieces. All the other pixel art I did was by mouse. Anyway, the piece that's in progress is my first piece without a reference. I'm struggling to make without a reference. Boom, red flag. And I'm struggling to make a good sky and still figure out how to make the armor extra reflective. Another problem that you're having here, which could be fixed. You'll not be in the stream? No, probably no. I've been for 2 hours now. I don't like to stream too long. My head starts to hurt. My voice starts to hurt. I talk too much. You don't want to listen to me for that long anyway. Using a pre-made in pixel art I can do, but it's so hard to find the right color in a sea of nearly infinite options when I'm not even using a reference. And happy Independence Day. You haven't actually posted the artwork. So please post the artwork. In your post, I mean. And then we'll continue. Yeah, we're going to leave it at that for everyone's today. This will be the last one. I apologize, folks, that didn't get seen. But first come, first served. That's how it works. Next Feedback Friday. Make sure you're here first. And if we haven't got enough, we'll do the wheel. But that's how it works. Post the art piece, my friend. Please post the artwork. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let's check this out. My first impression of these pieces not this one. We've just seen that one. My first impression of these pieces are very nice. Why isn't this copying? Copy image. Oh my goodness. Okay, this isn't working for me. Copy the image, please. Come on, Discord. Don't let me down. There we go. My first impression of these images are very nice work. For your first digital arts, have you been doing art before your digital art? That's the impression that it gives me. So, wrong piece, sorry. Is that the same thing twice? Did I post the same thing twice? I did, nice. Very good at that. Okay. Gotta go. Son's not feeling well. Good to see you, mate. Have a nice evening. Nice to see you too, Dante. Thanks for hanging out today, and best wishes for your son. I hope he's feeling better soon. Thanks for hanging out today. Appreciate you. Right. So let's read again what you said. Just got myself a pen display and did my first pieces. You did your first pieces. Okay. You did your first pieces. All the other pixel art I did was by mouse. Anyway, the piece that's in progress is my first piece without a reference. I'm struggling to make a good sky and still figuring out how to make the armor extra reflective. Still wrapping my head around color too. Using a pre-made palette and pixel art I can do, but it's so hard to find the right color in a sea of nearly infinite options when I'm not even using a reference. Okay. Limited palettes, I will say, are not... so this is the piece I imagine you're talking about, the work in progress piece. Limited palettes are not unique to pixel art. You can do it in digital art as well. What I mean by no references, I'm not simply copying a single photo like the others. Okay, so these are studies. So these are studies which I think are really good. By the way, you've got the likeness down, and what I really love about this piece as a study is the focus. Not just the value structure, which I think looks really good, but the focus is really cool. in the sense that like you have like hard shadows, and then you have on the outside it's blurred. That's really cool that you've done that. The contrast, that's nice. It makes the face stand out more, which is the focus of the piece. But obviously you're using a reference for that, which is great. But it's great that you picked that up and you spotted that, and you've done a really good job of recreating these pieces. So let's move on to your work in progress piece. And what up, McKinnon? How are you doing today? You had a couple of questions about this. Firstly, this is a very ambitious piece. I will say, like, it's a very ambitious piece, and the way you've laid it out is really cool. And the way you've started drawing these things, I think it shows a lot of skill. So keep it up. Firstly, like, you're doing a great job. Like, don't get yourself down about this. This is a really complicated piece. You know what I mean? This is a really complicated piece that you've done a good job on so far. The questions that you had about let's go with the metal first. How to make armor look extra reflective. That's a material study. So what I'd recommend doing for what the heck have I done? What I recommend doing for material studies is literally just type in armor, right? And then try and break it down into its elements. And what I mean by its elements is literally everything we've spoken about today. Shape, line, color. Mostly with material, it's going to be about value. It's going to be about value first, and the value differences, like this, for example. This type of material is very different than this type of material, isn't it? One is more matte and softer, and the other is more shiny. You know what I'm saying? These are supposed to be balls, by the way, but I can't draw balls. Like if I do this, and that's how you learn. You don't need to learn how to do a helmet, for example. Like, what do I mean by that? A lot of people, when they're learning something about art, they get too caught up with the specific thing that they're trying to create, right? They get way too caught up with the specific object that they're trying to create, when really what you need to do, and this is what Dom was saying earlier, is about communicating an idea of something. Right? And this is a really good example of this, I think. Communicating a way of something by making it appear a certain way. This is a material study by Olga, right? Check this out. It's a rabbit object, but because of the way they've rendered the object, it's appearing as a certain texture. It's appearing as a certain material. And the way they're able to do that is they've broken the materials down. They've broken the materials down into how those materials appear. And that's all based on texture, value, and color. You know what I mean? Gold texture, I wake. What up, Epic Window? How you doing today, by the way? I've been seeing your tweets on your game. Very cool. Like bread, for example. Like bubbles, you know? Lava-y type stuff. Grass, brick, metal. You know what I mean? Stone. So that's something, if you want to improve your material rendering very quickly, and you don't have to spend like 40 hours on a piece, right? Try doing something like this. Try studying the specific materials like this. So this piece here is a material study by Anush Gabriel. Check this out. Worn steel, gold, corroded bronze. And you don't have to start with like look at the silver here. Look at the gold, it's very reflective. But you notice how the worn metals are less reflective, you know? They've got more harshness to them. So you don't need to spend ages like trying to figure that out. And you can start with the very, very basics, you know? You can start with the basics of everything, like values. You don't even have to start with color. So what is the difference between this circle and this circle? You know what I mean? You can hold on. This is not going to work in this program. It's what I was drawing before, you know. If we take this circle and we do a really, really strong highlight, like if I go, okay, I'm going to find a reference for metal. I'm going to find a reference for shiny metal. Object. It can be anything. It doesn't even matter. It can be a helmet. It can be whatever. It could be a ball. It does not matter in the slightest. But if I take this stainless steel ball, which I think is a really good reference, right? Look at that. Strong highlights, and it's basically reflecting the whole room around it. So if you want it to be a shiny metal, you would just follow that. You would follow that as a guide. The highlights are super strong, and it's reflecting the room around it. And the dark parts are really dark. And it's got a lot of like surrounded light. It's almost got like an aura around it because of that light. And then they say something else like a matte material, for example. Matte material object. And this is how quickly you can do this. You don't have to spend super duper long on it. Like this is a really good photo actually. Check this out. The difference between these two balls. One is matte and one is more reflective. So if you're creating a metal, which is going to be more reflective, then you follow the principles based on this one, which is that the lights are not diffused over the surface as much. They're sharper. You know what I'm saying? So you can do that with your metal. Like basically, if you look at a helmet now, so okay, we've got an understanding of what a metal looks like. Let's have a look at a metal helmet. Let's get some reference, and reference is key for everything. What are these Romans? Yes, sir. Okay. Roman metal centurion helmet. Check out this reference. It's following the same sort of principles. If we ignore the fact that this is a helmet and we just look at it like a ball, it's doing exactly the same things. In fact, this one has less harsh. This has more diffused highlights because of the texture of the metal on the helmet. Like notice on this stainless steel ball here, they're basically perfect reflections of light. Whereas on the helmet, they're sort of diffused slightly. You see that? And that's because of the roughness of the metal. So that's something you take into account. So reference, and try and understand the material. I'm not going to try and recreate it. That's going to take too long. But you can try and recreate it. You can try and recreate it quickly in a little study. Like notice how, do you know how you did a study of Frodo and that other piece, which was really good? Do a study of a helmet really quickly and do a study of a metal and give yourself like 10 minutes each. You doesn't have to take too long, and then you can translate that learning into the piece. That's what I've noticed with larger pieces, right? If you're trying to achieve a large piece like the one that you're doing, the large piece will be made up of so many different elements that trying to do it all at once can be overwhelming. One piece, you know, you're just talking about the helmet, for example, right? You're just talking about the helmet. What you can do to aid the production of this piece is start a side piece, and like the side piece of doing helmet studies, metal study, helmet/metal study. An example where I did this, which was a long time ago now, I wanted to create this like golden monkey statue piece, right? And I struggled for the longest time with this because I didn't understand how metal worked. And I still, in this piece, I don't think it is the best example of metal, but this was like, I did studies around this piece just so I could finish this piece and try and understand how reflective metal is. I don't think it's the best. And in fact, I think the subject matter is too complicated to show it well. But if I was going to do it today, I'd do it very differently. But for this piece, in order to finish it, I did lots and lots and lots of little studies of gold and shininess and little objects and try to get reference for that. And then you can use that to build it back up. You know what I mean? So I recommend doing that for this piece, since it is quite a large piece. And then the second question you had was colors. Okay. Read Color and Light by James Gurney. That goes for anyone who wants to learn about color theory. Read Color and Light by James Gurney. And then you'll read it once and you won't be able to understand it. So then read it again. And then you'll read it the second time and you'll understand a little bit more. And then read it again. And then when you read it the third time, things will start to click and you'll go, oh, that's how color works. And now you'll understand how color works. That's exactly what I did. And color theory is super, super important when working with color. And color is one of those things where if you don't understand it, you can build up an innate like sense of what colors work well together. You can't do that. Don't get me wrong, but it's much easier just to try and learn it. That's the one with the little bird on the cover. It's been a while since I've looked at it, actually. Let's have a look. But what you're saying about read it again and again made me laugh. It is true. Yeah, it's got the like little dinosaur on it. Little dinosaur bird. James Gunny did a lot of like dinosaur drawing for Dinotopia. But what you're saying about like colors, right? The most. I'll try and give you like a crash course almost with this, and not a crash course, but like some useful tips for working with color, I guess, which is gonna help you, because you can look at this, right? And you can go, oh my goodness, there's so much here to choose from. That is the complicated thing, right? But really, color is broken down into lots of different things, and a couple of different things. Hue, your saturation, and your value. I'm just going to go with the HSV one, okay? And there's another thing called luminosity. Or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Nutshell, exactly. But your hue, what is it? It's your shade. It's, you know, that's a red hue, that's a green hue, that's a blue hue. Okay. Saturation. Okay. This is a saturated red, we'll say, because it's more pigmented, and then a less saturated red because it's closer towards what? The grays. Okay. If we say like black and white are, if say black and white are completely desaturated, taking that red and pushing it towards black or white or its grayscale counterpart makes that less saturated, okay? And then value is how light or dark something is. So that's super light, that's darker, and black is the darkest, okay? How do you look at that on the color wheel? Well, generally, okay, look at the color wheel. Black at the bottom, white at the top. Generally, value increases. Okay? We're going from dark to light. Saturation. How can we describe that? Well, we're going from the black and white on the left to the super saturated on the right. So generally, I say generally because it's not actually true, saturation increases from left to right. Okay? You understand that, okay? Value increases from bottom to top. Saturation increases from left to right. How do you change the hue? You move the slider thing. You move the slider thing, okay? But there's one thing which is called luminosity, which throws this off a little bit in that hues have an inherent, is that the word? Inherent? Is it inherent? Hues have a value associated with them. Okay, if I take the red, if I take the top right, so that would be the highest value and the highest inherent, that's the one, thank you very much. If I take the highest value and the highest saturated color of the red, the green, the blue, and the yellow, for example, if I take all of those, they should be, because they're in the same position, they should be the highest saturation, the highest value. However, the hues themselves have an inherent value. Oops. Which is shown with this. Look at that. The lightest one here is the yellow, just the green is close. So you can understand about the color wheel that actually the color wheel itself has those value changes. And once you understand that, which ones are dark, then you can start to play with values more in your pieces. But you have to practice that. You can't just do it, you know what I mean? You have to practice that. Because if you look at the color wheel now, notice how the lighter side is towards the yellow and the greens. The darkest is the blues, with the red being dark as well. Once you understand that, you can start to play with values. This is why you don't really need to think, like the most important thing about color is value. So if I want to create let me show you this piece actually. This is a pixel art piece called the Spartan, which only uses, this is a pixel art piece called the Spartan by Helm, which only uses hue as its value. You'll see what I mean when I do this. Look at this piece, okay? How do you get a sense of form from this piece? How do you get a sense of form through this piece when it only uses red, green, blue? It's because even though the red, the green, and the blue are in the same position, right? Check this out. Pardon me. It's because their inherent value is used in the correct way to build form. They've used the black as the darkest. They've used the blue as the second darkest. Okay? They've used the red as the third darkest. And they've used the green as the lightest. And that's how they've built strong form, because they've followed that principle. Okay? And that's how you can start to think about color and value. I know this is a lot to throw at you at once, but this is why you need to read the book about 50 times before it starts to make perfect sense. But color's complicated, right? And you're saying, okay, well, how can I choose the correct colors? There's a really, really quick tip that you can do with most colors to help them blend more. If I take this green and if I take this red, which are complementary colors, but they clash because they're contrasting or complementary colors. They clash, right? Because they're opposite on the color wheel. They clash too much and it's causing high contrast. So how can I balance this? How can I balance this? Desaturate. Go in the middle. Desaturate. Desaturate. Desaturated colors. Because there's a phenomenon, right? If I take a red and I take this green, now I'm going to take a gray, just this gray. This is nothing but gray. It has no hue associated with it at all. It's just gray. If I put that gray in the middle of this green, look what happens. It's gray, but it appears red. If I take this gray and put it in the red, it now appears green in your mind. It's not, it's just gray. Color has loads of little magical little things like this. And it's because those desaturated colors inside of a saturated color takes on the appearance of its contrasting color. So if you were to take a yellow, for example, it would be blue. If you were to take a blue, it would be yellow. I'll still see it as gray. What are you talking about? Yeah. Look, hold on. It is gray, but look at it in the context. Look at it in context, like this. Hold on. Do you not see that? Do you not see how the gray takes on the opposite? It looks the same to me. No, it is the same. It is the same gray, but because of the surrounding colors, it appears different. Maybe it would be, maybe if I did something like this. How can I show this more? How can I show this more? How can I show this? Check out the James Gurney book. There's an example in there which describes it better than I can ever describe it. You think the blue worked well? Let's try that. Context is everything. Yeah, context with colors is everything. But check out the book. There'll be a better description in the book than I can describe it. But that is a phenomenon. That is a phenomenon, and that's how you balance. That's how you balance two colors together. You desaturate them. Push them towards gray. And these, notice how these desaturated colors, they look super desaturated. They are super desaturated, but they don't appear that way. And that's because, look, if I take a piece and I make it green. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Most art pieces are not made out of everything being super saturated. It's about the balance between saturated colors. For example, if let me see if I can do this really quick. I'll take this blue, for example. Take a blue, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to have a focal point here. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have a house here. And in the house, I'm just going to make it a little bit darker. Right? And I'm going to have a light in the house, which is going to be a saturated yellow. Okay? And I'm going to have a river here running through it. It's going to be darker. And then I'm going to draw my grass. Okay? If I draw the grass, your first instinct is to draw the grass green like this, right? The grass is, this is called grass, I call this the grass is green syndrome, where you go, the grass is green, the sky is blue, you know what I mean? And it ends up looking very primary. It ends up looking like a kid's coloring book, because you go, the house is brown, you know what I mean? That's what it ends up looking like, okay? But you can create the same piece and have balance in your colors and have more of like a unified palette if you use a lot of desaturated colors, and things can still look green. So I have this blue, for example. How can I make it look green? Well, I can push it towards the green slightly. Okay, I'll push it towards the green even more and I'll desaturate. Because what does green look like in the wheel? Let's remind ourselves. Green is lighter than the blue, so we're going to have to make it darker. Green is lighter than the blue. Let's make it darker. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, this color is starting to look more and more green. Obviously, I'm pushing it towards green. But where actually is it on the color wheel? Even though this looks green, where is it? It's a blue, which is really desaturated. But it looks green because of the surrounding colors. Does that make sense? Let me try and find a better example. Like, I'll try to do that in 2 seconds, but there's a better example here somewhere online. And you'll notice that. Maybe this piece. Trying to find a better example for you here. The grass is green, the sky is blue. This one, okay? This is a good piece. This is by Philip A. Ehrlich, okay? Look at this piece, a beautiful environment piece. Let's take a look at the values. Oh my God, the values are really nice. Focal point, obviously here, the red contrasting the green. Now, this is a green color. The grass is green, right? The grass is green. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it by itself here. Look at the green though. Look at it. It is appearing very, 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 very green. But in reality, look at where it is on the color wheel. Look at where it is on the color wheel. It is green, but it is incredibly desaturated green. In fact, you can push this on the red side and it's not too far from the red, and they're using that as balance. Same with the yellow. Check out this yellow here. This is yellow, super desaturated, and it's balanced with the green just by changing the position on the color wheel. And it does the same down here. The blue, slightly more saturated, but it's still desaturated. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. You use desaturated colors to blend them together to make them more cohesive. And then you use your saturated colors as a point of focus and as a like a key color almost. Like this red is very saturated compared to the other colors in the piece because it's the key color and the rest of it is just about balancing it all together. Does that make sense? So rather than going, okay, the grass is green, the sky is blue, blah, blah, blah. Like if I take all of the greens in this piece, for example, if I try to take all of the greens in this piece and then I make them super saturated, notice now how it starts to clash and you get a very, very different vibe from the piece and it's not as balanced anymore. You know what I'm saying? So you need to think about that when you're working on your piece as well in terms of colors. And the final thing that I want to mention about color is color gamuts. So when you're learning in color relationships first, when you're learning about color theory, you'll learn about color relationships. So what we were talking about before, like complementary colors, for example, like red and green on the color wheel. What the heck? Red and green on the color wheel, complementary colors. Green and purple or whatever it is. Yellow and, or green and red, sorry. Yellow and blue. You know, you'll learn about complementary colors, but there's a lot of these. It's interesting that I almost never see the opposite contrast when the unsaturated stands out from the saturated environment. I almost never see the opposite contrast where the unsaturated stands out from the saturated environment. Perhaps, Kohemi, that is a piece you can explore. Maybe that's something you can explore. Maybe it's not possible. Maybe the unsaturated colors just don't have that. You know what I mean? Maybe like if we have a giant piece like this, which is just saturated red, for example, and if I take a really desaturated green, then it kind of stands out there in that context. But because this is so saturated, it's just taking up all the focus, isn't it? Like pigment. It seems like pigment or saturation is overwhelming when it comes to color contrast. That's interesting. Yeah, there's a chance that saturated colors just stand out more to the human eyes. Yeah, like the cones or something. Like the cones in your eyes. There's probably some scientific reason for it, right? Where the cones in your eyes just intake that more than everything else. But yeah, there's lots of different, what I was talking about with color relationships, there's lots of different color relationships like triadic, you know, tetra, whatever. You know, there's just mad stuff that you need to learn about and learn the relationships between different colors. And then after learning about that, you can learn about things called color gamuts, which is essentially the same as limiting palettes, but on a different side of things. Like using a gamut, I believe it's called, like something like this, for example. Like notice this is a tetra, what's it called? Triadic color scheme, right? Triadic color scheme where you have I think it's triadic, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done color relationships, so apologies if that's wrong. But you have three colors in this piece, right? You have a saturated pink, you have a semi-saturated yellow as well, and then you have a less saturated blue. So those are your main colors. And the selections that you're choosing to balance these things out have a certain range that you use them within. And notice how this side is using the less saturated ones to help balance it. There's probably a piece that shows that. In fact, I'm going to try and look for a piece now. This piece is good. Oh yes, this is James Gurney's example, which is exactly what I was thinking about. This is why you need to get this book if you haven't, because James Gurney is the master. So there are different schemes you can have by limiting the color wheel, right? Gamuts don't have to be simple triangles. They can be, you're just choosing certain colors within a wheel and using that to create a piece. Like look at this gamut. It's only using these colors, but the blue in them is the lightest. The green in them is the less lightest, and the yellow is the darker as well. It's cool. It's a cool. Check out James Gurney's book. I need to read it again, actually. This is going to be my foray into reading it again. But You just need to learn color theory, unfortunately, Squid. How do you make more colors? How do you make better colors? Color theory. But what I will say is, don't be scared of using already existing palettes. If you see a movie that you like what's a famous Roman soldier movie? Like Gladiator? Is that even a thing? Yeah, Gladiator. If there's a famous Roman soldier movie that you like, right? Roman Empire movie or something. I feel like this whole thing was an ad for the book. I would give James Gurney more money, definitely. One of the best. It helped me learn color theory. I struggled with color theory for so long until I seen that. I struggled with it for so long. So, like I said, I had to read it probably about 3 times before I even began to understand it. But once it clicked, it clicked. I had one of those moments where it was like, that's what it means. That's how that works. And then from that point on, I've just been able to, my colors and everything have just been better. You know what I mean? Like, look at this one. It's obviously a nighttime scene, and this is from Gladiator, but the colors in this piece, if I could. The colors in this piece, this red isn't actually red. It's purple. It's blue. It's a desaturated blue, but it appears red. You know what I mean? This red, it isn't red either. It's a super desaturated version of it. The rest is blue. So when you're picking colors, don't be afraid to pick scenes like this. Don't be afraid to do that and break them down and learn, because that's how you will learn. Like, take a look at you can mosaic it, for example. This is what I like to do a lot. This is essentially creating the palette of the piece here. Just put a cold filter on top. Yeah, exactly. You could do that. Yeah, you could just create only in the local colors and then put filters on the top. That would work as well, Fox. Welcome back, Fox, by the way. But yeah, the reds, they're not actually reds. The blues are the main mood here. But anyway, folks, I'm going to leave it there. It's been a wild one today. It's been a wild one. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. I appreciate you all. That was Feedback Friday. We're back. We'll probably do one a week. Probably do some more streams on the Twitch eventually as well. So thank you all for hanging out. Sorry if I didn't get to your work today. We actually spent a lot of time on each one, it feels like, rather than getting through a bunch. And obviously we had some games to play, and that usually takes a little bit longer as well. But I appreciate you all hanging out. Thanks for everyone hanging out and for supporting and for waiting as well. Your patience for these feedback streams. I appreciate that. So I'll catch you all on the flip side. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any more questions, remember, first come, first serve. Next time we'll try and rattle through some a bit more quickly so more people can get seen, but also we'll do the thing. Do you have any tips on making game pages in Itch? It's less important than the game. Make a good game first. Don't worry about that. But if you want it to be good, make it have the instructions for the game, I guess. That's all that matters. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Sleeping Yellow, Say Again Squid, Epic Window, Kohemi, everyone that's hung out, and KK Hugs, Fox Gamer, Nick Sleeves. I'm probably missing like a million people first. Appreciate you, say Vindictive Toast, Hassan. Appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out, folks. I'll catch you next Friday. Goodbye. Oops, I don't know how to quit this. Oh my God, it's been so long. Maybe I go here first. Nope, that ain't it. Okay, that ain't it. That's it. Goodbye, everybody. Spreckman, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Bye, everyone.